They say the hardest battles are fought in the dark corners of your own heart, when desire collides with duty, and every instinct screams to run the other way. I learned that lesson the hard way in a sterile dorm room that reeked of instant ramen and unspoken longing, nursing a woman who turned my world upside down without even trying. My name is Liam Harper, and this is the story of how I fell for the one person I was sworn to keep at a safe distance. It started on a rainy Thursday in early October, when Professor Delgado summoned me to her office after my shift at the campus writing center. The English building was emptying out, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like tired insects. I was the last one lingering, as always, rewriting a peer's essay on The Great Gatsby, because I couldn't stand sloppy symbolism. "Harper, take a seat," she said, motioning to the worn leather chair opposite her cluttered desk. Her office was a fortress of books, towering stacks of Austen, Baldwin, and dog-eared poetry anthologies. A single wilted fern drooped in the corner, forgotten. I sank into the chair, my shoulders tight from hours hunched over a keyboard. If this is about the Fitzgerald paper, it's not about the paper. She leaned back, her sharp brown eyes unreadable behind wire-rimmed glasses. It's about Nora. My stomach dropped. Nora Vale, our department's prodigy, the senior whose senior thesis on queer subtext in Victorian literature had already been accepted for publication. The girl whose voice could silence a seminar room, whose dark curls and quicksilver laugh had haunted my dreams since freshman year. Not that I'd ever admit it. What about her? I asked, aiming for casual and landing somewhere near strangled. She shattered her wrist last week in a bike accident. Surgery went fine, but recovery's a marathon, 6 months minimum. She needs help with everything: typing, note-taking, meals, physical therapy. Her family's in Seattle, and she refuses to go home. The implications settled between us like fog. You want me to be her caretaker? I laughed, incredulous. I'm an English major, not a nurse. You're pre-med track, aren't you? Double major, top of the dean's list. And you're the most dependable student I've ever had. You stay late, you edit until it's perfect, you never miss a deadline. Professor Delgado slid a manila folder across the desk. Nora asked for you specifically. The words hit like a slap.
She did?
Said you were the only one she wouldn't feel pathetic around. Said you'd treat her like a person, not a patient. I stared at the folder. This was a disaster waiting to happen. Nora wasn't just brilliant, she was magnetic. The kind of person who made you forget your own name when she looked at you. Last spring, at the department's end-of-year reading, she'd caught my eye across the room while reciting Sylvia Plath, and I'd spent the next week convincing myself it was nothing. She was straight, or at least she'd never said otherwise. She dated guys, artsy grad students with ironic tattoos and trust funds, and I'd come out to the department sophomore year in a clumsy email that still made me cringe. I didn't need to complicate my life with a crush on the golden girl of Victorian lit. I don't know, Professor. Maybe someone else. There is no one else, Liam. Nora needs help and she trusts you. Are you going to let her down? The guilt trip worked. Of course it did. Fine, I said, snatching the folder. When do I start? Nora's dorm was in the graduate housing quad, sleek, modern, the kind of place that screamed future tenured professor. The RA let me in after I flashed my student ID and mumbled something about thesis assistants. I knocked on 312, my pulse thudding in my ears. The door opened, and there she was. Nora Vale looked smaller without her usual armor of sharp blazers and red lipstick. Her dark hair was piled in a messy bun, strands escaping like they'd given up. She wore an oversized Dartmouth sweatshirt, ironic since she'd turned them down, and soft gray joggers. Her right arm was in a bulky cast from fingertips to elbow, held against her chest by a sling. Her hazel eyes I'd memorized in stolen glances, were rimmed with exhaustion. Liam, she said, and the way my name sounded in her mouth made my knees weak. You came. Professor Delgado said you needed a typist, I managed. And apparently a chef, a flicker of a smile. Come in. Ignore the chaos. The room was surprisingly tidy for someone with one functional hand. Books everywhere, yes, spilling from shelves, stacked on the desk, but organized chaos. A laptop glowed on the bed, cursor blinking in a half-finished document. A single crutch leaned against the wall. The only signs of injury, prescription bottles on the nightstand, a heating pad draped over the desk chair, and a whiteboard scrawled with PT schedule. 8 a.m. 12 p.m., 6 p.m. yard. Nice setup, I said, dropping my backpack. Very academic. My mom's doing. She overnighted the whiteboard and a label maker. Nora rolled her eyes, but there was fondness there. She wanted to fly out, but I told her I'd manage. I'd heard whispers about Nora's family. Old Seattle money, Ivy League expectations, a mother who'd once been a federal judge. It explained the perfectionism, the way Nora could quote Middlemarch while dissecting your argument in seminar. So, I said, pulling out my phone where I'd already built a color-coded schedule, because of course I had. PT 3 times a day, meds every 4 hours, no typing with the cast hand. I'm also supposed to feed you, apparently. Nora groaned. The meal plan's been creative. Lots of yogurt with a spoon taped to my left hand. Horrifying, I said, deadpan. We're fixing that. When's your last pain pill? 3 hours ago. I'm due for the good stuff soon. She winced as she shifted on the bed. And I haven't showered since yesterday. I tried this morning, but one-handed showering is an Olympic sport I'm failing at. The image of Nora, struggling with soap and shampoo made something twist in my chest. Okay, I said, businesslike. Meds first, then dinner. Shower can wait till tomorrow when we've got a system. She studied me, something unreadable in her expression. You're really doing this. You asked for me, remember? Yeah, she said softly. I did. The first week blurred into routine. I'd show up at 7:30 a.m., wake her with coffee, oat milk latte, 2 pumps vanilla. She'd texted me her order like it was nothing. Help with morning PT, gentle wrist rotations that made her bite her lip, type her morning pages while she dictated from bed. Then I'd leave her with lunch prep instructions and head to my own classes. Evenings, more PT. At dinner, I discovered she loved spicy food and hated cilantro, meds, and whatever else she needed until lights out. I was exhausted, running on caffeine and 4 hours of sleep, but I couldn't complain. Nora was dealing with worse. The frustration of dependency, the fear her thesis would stall, the boredom of being trapped in her room. I learned her rhythms. She was sharpest in the mornings, cranky after naps, quiet when the pain spiked. I learned she took her coffee scalding, that she annotated margins in purple ink, that she had a tiny scar on her collarbone from a childhood sailing accident, that she hummed Hallelujah when focused, and the more I learned, the deeper I fell. It was the small things that undid me. The way her face lit up when I walked in, like I was the highlight of her day. The way she'd lean into my touch during PT, trusting me to guide her wrist without hurting her. The way she'd absently trace circles on my forearm when dictating, her good hand warm against my skin. I told myself it was gratitude. She was lonely and pain, and I was there. Nothing more. Then Friday night of the second week happened. I let myself in with the spare key she'd given me, arms full of Thai takeout, pad ki mao, extra chilis. The room was dim, only the desk lamp on. Nora was on the bed, face pale, jaw clenched. Hey, I said, dropping the food. What's wrong? I'm fine, she gritted out. Lie, Nora. I was at her side in 2 steps, hand on her forehead, clammy. Pain scale? 8, she whispered. Maybe 9. I tried to change my shirt. Got stuck. Pulled wrong. Now everything's on fire. Panic surged, but I locked it down. Clinical, professional. Okay, let's get the heavy-duty meds. Then ice and elevation. I haven't showered in 2 days, she said, voice small. I smell like a gym sock. An idea formed. Dangerous. Necessary. What if I helped? I said, with the shower. I can keep the cast dry, wash your hair, make sure you don't fall. I'm pre-med, remember? Seen it all, not her. Not like this. But I kept my voice steady. Nora's eyes widened. Liam, you need to stay clean to avoid infection. And you can't do it alone right now. I met her gaze. I've got you. She searched my face for a long moment. You're sure? Positive. 20 minutes later, the meds had kicked in enough to dull the edge. I helped her to the bathroom. Her dorm had a decent walk-in shower with a bench. Okay, I said, rolling up my sleeves. Shirt first. She lifted her good arm, and I carefully eased the sweatshirt over her head, trying not to stare at the smooth expanse of her back, the freckles across her shoulders, the way her breath hitched when my fingers brushed her skin. The joggers were trickier. I had to ease them down without jostling her cast, which meant she was sitting there in just a sports bra and underwear, vulnerable and trusting and beautiful. I'm gonna take these off too, I said, gesturing to her underwear. And the bra. We'll keep the cast wrapped in plastic. She nodded, cheeks pink. Okay. I focused on logistics. Trash bag over the cast, tape to seal it, water temperature just right. I helped her onto the bench, kept my eyes on her face as I worked shampoo into her hair, massaging her scalp with careful fingers. She sighed, leany, right. I helped her onto the bench, kept my eyes on her face as I worked shampoo into her hair, massaging her scalp with careful fingers. She sighed, leaning into my touch. You're good at this, she murmured. Lots of little cousins, I lied. Her laugh was soft, watery. Thank you, Liam, for everything. Anytime. I rinsed her hair, helped her wash with a loofah on a stick, Amazon Prime, 2-day shipping. Kept it clinical, mostly. When it was over, I wrapped her in the biggest towel I could find, helped her into fresh clothes. She was shaky, exhausted, but clean. Back in bed, cast elevated, she looked at me with something raw in her eyes. Liam, she said quietly, I need to tell you something. My heart stopped. I didn't ask for you just because you're reliable. She swallowed. I asked for you because it's you. Because I've been trying not to feel this for months, and now you're here every day, and I can't... Nora. My voice cracked. I know you're careful, she said. I know you think I'm straight or whatever. But I'm not. And I'm tired of pretending I don't want... I kissed her. It was soft, tentative, her lips warm and tasting of toothpaste and fear. She made a small sound, her good hand coming up to cup my face. When we pulled apart, her eyes were wide, shining. I've wanted to do that since the Plath reading, I admitted. She laughed, shaky. Took you long enough. The next months were a blur of healing and falling. I typed her thesis while she dictated from my lap. We argued over Jane Eyre symbolism during PT. She learned to make one-handed pancakes. I learned the exact pressure that made her melt when I massaged her shoulders. Some nights, she'd wake from nightmares about never typing again, and I'd hold her until she slept. Some mornings I'd wake to find her watching me, tracing the line of my jaw with her good hand like she couldn't believe I was real. The cast came off in February. Her wrist was stiff, scarred, but functional. She typed the final sentence of her thesis herself, then looked up at me with tears in her eyes. I couldn't have done this without you, she said. You did the hard part, I said. I just stayed. She kissed me then, fierce and grateful and mine. Coach Morrison, Professor Delgado, gave us both A's. The department threw a party for Nora's thesis defense. She wore a red dress that made my mouth dry, and when she thanked me in her speech, the room cheered like they'd known all along. We moved in together the next fall. Her half of the closet was color-coded. Mine was chaos. She still hummed Hallelujah when focused. I still made her laugh with terrible puns. The hardest battles, it turned out, weren't fought alone in the dark. They were fought side by side, in the quiet moments when you choose to stay, when you choose them, and discover that love isn't the fall, it's the landing. The apartment smelled like antiseptic and takeout lo mein. Liam sat on the edge of the couch, one leg in a black brace that looked like medieval armor, the other stretched out on a pile of pillows. His hair was damp from the shower I'd just helped him through, and he kept running a hand through it, as if the motion could scrub away the last hour. Thank you, he said again, quieter this time, for not making it weird. If only he knew how weird I felt. I'd washed his hair like I was diffusing a bomb. One wrong move and everything would explode. The careful distance I'd built between us, the professional mask I wore like a second skin, the way my pulse had spiked every time my fingers grazed the nape of his neck. I'd kept my touch clinical, my voice steady, my eyes on the tile. I'd managed, somehow. Now I was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. The knife slipped, nicked my thumb. I hissed. "Jules?" Liam called from the living room. "You okay?" "Fine," I lied. "Just dinner," he didn't answer. I heard the couch creak as he shifted, the soft clink of ice in a glass. Then, "Can you come here for a second?" I wiped my hands on a towel and walked back in. He was watching me with that look, too intense, too knowing. The kind that made my stomach flip. "What you did tonight," he said slowly. "Helping me like that. No one's ever—" He stopped, jaw tight. "You didn't have to be so gentle." "You're injured." "No, I mean—" He dragged a hand through his hair again, frustrated. "Look, I need to say something. And I need you to just listen. Don't interrupt. Don't react. Just let me get it out." My heart started pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. "Okay," he took a breath. "When I went down on that court, when I felt the pop and knew my season was done, maybe my career, the first person I thought of wasn't my mom or Coach Park or even the scouts in the stands. It was you." I stood frozen. I thought about how you stayed after every practice to run suicides with me when I was dogging it. How you let me rant about my dad's emails without telling me to shut up. How you laughed at my stupid jokes even when I was being a dick about losing. His voice cracked. And in the hospital, when they asked for an emergency contact and my family was in Seoul, I almost said your name. I caught myself. Gave them Coach's info instead. But I wanted it to be you. He swallowed hard. I asked for you to be my caretaker because I wanted you here. Close. In a way that didn't feel like I was crossing some line I wasn't allowed to cross. Because you're out and I'm not, and I didn't want to ruin the team or our friendship or— Liam, let me finish. His voice was raw. These past 2 weeks, watching you take care of me, seeing how patient you are, how you remember I hate bell peppers and always make sure there's extra chili oil. Jules, I can't pretend anymore. I'm tired of lying to myself. I found my voice. What do you feel? He looked at me like I was the only thing in the room. I'm in love with you. I think I have been since junior year when you stole my last protein bar and then spent 20 minutes apologizing with that stupid grin on your face. The world tilted. I know this is a lot, he said quickly. If you want to leave, if this is too much, I get it. Coach can find someone else. But I needed to say it. I needed to be honest for once. I should have stepped back. Should have reminded him I was his athletic trainer, his teammate, his friend. Should have protected us both. Instead, I sat on the edge of the couch. You're not the only one who's been lying, his eyes widened. I've been in love with you since the day you walked into the training room, freshman year with a sprained ankle and asked if I could tape it like a pro. Volunteered to spot you on lifts because it meant I got to stand close enough to smell your stupid cedarwood shampoo. I know your coffee order, oat milk latte, 2 pumps vanilla, and the way you tap your left foot when you're nervous before games. Liam, he said, my name's soft like a prayer. I took this job because I wanted to be near you, but I was terrified you'd figure it out and hate me for it. His hand found mine. Our fingers laced together like they'd been waiting years for permission. What do we do now? He asked. I don't know. You're my patient. You're not out. We're teammates. This is complicated, he nodded. I need to figure my shit out. My parents, my dad, he'll lose it. But I'm tired of hiding. I want to be with you. However you'll have me. I want that too, I said. But we take it slow. You're still healing. We don't rush this and ruin it. He looked disappointed, but he smiled. You're always right. It's annoying. I care about you too much to mess this up. Say it again. I care about you, Liam Park. So much it scares me. He pulled me closer, careful of his knee, until our foreheads touched. Can I kiss you just once? So I know this is real. I should have said no. I didn't. The kiss was soft, tentative, perfect. It tasted like chili oil and possibility. When we pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. Okay, he said, eyes bright. We'll take it slow. But Jules, that was worth everything. Taking it slow was torture. Every touch during rehab, my hands on his thigh to guide a stretch. His fingers brushing mine when I handed him a water bottle felt like static electricity. We talked for hours about everything. His fear of never playing again, my mom's new girlfriend, the way the team group chat had gone feral over a viral video of our mascot breakdancing. But we didn't kiss again. Didn't push. Then Kai showed up. Kai was the team's point guard, 6'3" of chaos and loyalty. He took one look at us, me kneeling in front of Liam, guiding his knee through a range of motion exercise, and grinned like he'd won the lottery. So, he said, flopping into the armchair. When's the wedding? Liam choked on his water. What are you talking about? I asked too fast. Kai waved a hand. The tension in here is thicker than Coach's protein shakes. You two have been eye-fucking each other for weeks. It's either romance or really good pain meds. Liam recovered first. We're dating. Just like that, Kai's grin widened. About damn time. I've been watching you pine since you cried in the locker room after we lost to state last year. You knew? Liam asked. Everyone knew. Except Jules, apparently. Kai clapped me on the shoulder. Welcome to the Team Couples Club. You're now tied with me and Sophia for least subtle. You and Sophia? I blinked. Yep, thought we were slick. We're not. He grabbed a beer from Liam's fridge without asking. So you telling the team, coach? Liam and I exchanged a look. Eventually, Liam said. Parents first. I'm not ready. Kai's face softened. Your dad's intense. But the team's got your back. Both of you. After Kai left, Liam pulled me down beside him. That went better than expected. Maybe coming out won't be as bad as you think. He kissed my temple. How did I get so lucky? I'm the lucky one. I get to date the guy I've been in love with for 3 years. 3 years. Since you smiled at me in the training room and asked for tape. He laughed. We're idiots. Maybe. But we're here now. 4 weeks in, Liam was walking without crutches. The brace was smaller. His PT was impressed. But more than the physical progress, I watched him come back to life. The brooding, angry guy from week 1 was gone. He joked during exercises, raced me to hit milestones, started sketching comeback plays on napkins. We were building something real. One night, after a long day of rehab and takeout, he pulled me onto the couch. I told my mom, I froze. And? She cried. Said she'd always known. My dad? He didn't say much. But he didn't yell. That's something. I kissed him, slow, careful, full of everything we'd waited for. We're gonna be okay, he whispered. Yeah, I said. We really are. My name is Julian Park, and I was 21 when I first met Noah Caldwell. I was in my junior year at UCLA, majoring in kinesiology with a minor in sports medicine. I was also the student manager for the men's basketball team. Quiet, competent, invisible. The kind of person who blended into the background while the athletes shone under the lights. I liked it that way. No pressure. No expectations. Just the rhythm of the game, the squeak of sneakers on hardwood, the smell of sweat and resin. Noah was the opposite of invisible. 6'7", broad-shouldered, with a fade haircut and a smile that could sell sneakers. He was the team's star forward, projected as a first-round NBA draft pick. Everyone knew his name. Everyone wanted to be near him. I'd watched him from the sidelines for 2 years. His explosive dunks, his effortless crossovers, the way he commanded the court like it belonged to him. I'd also watched the way he carried himself off the court. Guarded, polite, always performing. Never letting anyone too close. Then, in early November, everything changed. It started with a scream. We were playing USC in a rivalry game, the gym packed, the air electric. Noah had the ball at the top of the key, faking left, driving right. He went up for a layup and came down wrong. His ankle twisted beneath him with a sickening pop. The crowd went silent. I was on the bench, clipboard in hand, when Coach Ramirez yelled, "Park! Get over here!" I ran onto the court with the medical kit, heart hammering. Noah was on the floor, clutching his ankle, face pale. His teammate Marcus, his best friend since freshman year, was kneeling beside him, whispering something I couldn't hear. I knelt too, assessing the damage. Swelling already. Possible fracture. "Can you move it?" I asked. He tried, winced. "Fuck, no." Coach was already on the phone with the team doctor. "Park, you're on him until further notice. He's out indefinitely." "You're his shadow," I blinked. "Me? You're the best we've got. Live-in caretaker. Help with rehab, mobility, whatever he needs. This is your senior project now." Noah looked up at me then, his hazel eyes sharp despite the pain. "You're the quiet one," he said. "The one who tapes ankles." "That's me." He managed a crooked smile. "Guess you're stuck with me." They diagnosed a severe high ankle sprain and a fractured fibula. Surgery to pin the bone. 6 to 8 months recovery. Noah's season was over. His draft stock was in freefall. And I was suddenly living in his off-campus apartment, a sleek 2-bedroom in Westwood with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city lights. The first week was brutal. Noah was in a walking boot, doped up on painkillers and pissed at the world. He barely spoke to me unless it was to bark orders. Ice, crutches, remote. I didn't take it personally. I'd seen athletes grieve their bodies before. This was grief. But slowly things shifted. It started with the quiet moments. I'd help him with his exercises, gentle stretches, resistance bands, balance work. He'd curse under his breath, sweat beading on his forehead, but he never quit. One night, after a particularly grueling session, he collapsed onto the couch and stared at the ceiling. "I'm scared," he said suddenly. I paused, mid-ice pack. "Of what?" "That I'll never be the same. That this is it. That I peaked at 21. I sat beside him. "You won't know until you try." He turned his head to look at me. "You always this calm?" "Occupational hazard." He laughed, a real laugh, not the polished one he gave interviewers. "You're weird, Julian. Takes one to know one." We fell into a routine. I'd wake him at 7 a.m. for meds and breakfast. Help him shower, awkward at first, clinical after a while. Drive him to physical therapy. Study in the corner while he worked with the trainer. Cook dinner, simple stuff, chicken and rice, pasta with veggies. He'd tease me about my grandma recipes. I'd roll my eyes. But there were moments. Late nights when he couldn't sleep, the pain flaring. He'd hobble to the living room, find me on the couch with my laptop. We'd talk about everything. His childhood in Oakland, raised by a single mom who worked doubles at the hospital. My parents, immigrants from Seoul, who owned a dry cleaners in Koreatown. His fear of letting people down. My fear of never being enough. One night he asked, "Why sports medicine?" I shrugged. "I like fixing things, people, bodies, whatever." "You fixed me," he said quietly. "Not just the ankle. Me." I didn't know what to say to that. Part 2. Crossing lines. It happened in December. We were decorating his apartment for Christmas. His mom was coming to visit, and he wanted it to look less like a bachelor pad. I was untangling lights when he handed me a mug of hot chocolate. Our fingers brushed. He didn't pull away. "You're good at this," he said. "At what?" "Making things feel normal, safe." I looked at him. Really looked. The way his sweatshirt hung off his shoulders. The scar on his eyebrow from a childhood fight. The way he was looking at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "Noah," I said. "I know," he whispered. "I know, he kissed me, it wasn't planned. Wasn't dramatic. Just soft and slow and inevitable. Like we'd been moving toward it for weeks. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "I've never—" he started. "Me neither," I said. "We didn't tell anyone. Not Marcus. Not Coach, not our families. It was ours." Stolen kisses in the kitchen. Hands brushing under the table. Falling asleep on the couch, his head on my shoulder, but secrets way. In January, Noah started walking without the boot. By February, he was jogging. The team was buzzing. His return was imminent. But so was the draft combine. Scouts were watching. His agent was calling daily. One night, he came home from a meeting with his face tight. "They want me to do damage control," he said. "The injury. The distraction." I frowned. "What kind of distraction?" He wouldn't look at me. "They think I need to be seen with a girl." "Clean up the narrative." My stomach dropped. "Noah." I told them no, he said quickly. "But they're pushing." My mom's worried. My agent's worried. Everyone's fucking worried. I stood. "And you?" He looked at me then, eyes red. "I'm tired of hiding. But I'm scared. What if this ruins everything?" I crossed to him, cupped his face. "Then we face it together," he told Marcus first. They were in the gym, Noah shooting free throws, Marcus rebounding. I watched from the bleachers. "So," Marcus said, catching the ball. "You and Julian?" Noah froze. "What? I'm not blind, man." "The way you look at him. The way he looks at you." "It's obvious." Noah set the ball down. "You're not freaking out?" Marcus shrugged. "Why would I? You're still you, just happier." Noah laughed, shaky. "Yeah, I am." The team found out in March. Someone posted a photo from a team party. Noah's arm around my waist, my head on his shoulder. Both of us laughing. My phone blew up. Texts, DMs, memes. Most were supportive. A few were silent. One guy unfollowed me on everything. Coach called us in the next day. "So," he said, leaning back. "You two." Noah spoke first. "We're together." It started after the injury. "We've kept it professional during rehab," Coach sighed. "My concern isn't the relationship. It's the fallout. Media, sponsors, the draft." "We know," I said. "We'll handle it." Coach looked at Noah. "You sure about this?" Noah reached for my hand. "Never been more sure," Coach nodded. "Then be smart. And Park, good work. He's ahead of schedule." We celebrated that night. Noah kissed me in the middle of campus, right outside the student union. People stared. Some clapped. Most didn't care. "How do you feel?" I asked. He smiled. "Free, part 3, healing together." By April, Noah was cleared for full practice. In May, he played his first game back, a playoff match against Arizona. The gym was packed. I sat in the stands, heart in my throat. He was cautious at first. Then, in the fourth quarter, he stole the ball, drove the lane, and threw down a dunk that shook the backboard. The crowd roared. He looked right at me and pointed. After the game, he found me outside the locker room. Kissed me in front of everyone. Didn't care who saw. "I love you," he said. I should have said it sooner. "I love you too." We went home to Oakland for the summer. His mom, Denise, was waiting at the door. Petite, fierce, with Noah's eyes. She hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. "You're the one who kept him sane," she said. "Thank you." His little sister, Amara, grilled me about med school. His cousins teased him about finally settling down. It wasn't perfect. There were awkward silences, questions about the future. But it was real. One night, Noah's uncle pulled him aside. I heard raised voices. Legacy, reputation, the NBA. When Noah came back, his eyes were red. "He doesn't get it," he said. "But Mom does. That's enough." Noah's grandmother, Mama Joyce, arrived the next day. 80 years old, 5 feet tall, and terrifying. "So," she said, eyeing me, "you're the boy who fixed my grandson." "I try." She nodded. "Good. Now help me make cornbread." We spent the afternoon in the kitchen, Noah stealing bites, Mama Joyce smacking his hand. His mom joined us laughing when I burned the first batch. By the end of the night, his uncle was apologizing. "I was wrong," he said. "You're happy. That's what matters." We moved in together after graduation. Noah was drafted 8th overall by the Lakers. I started med school at UCLA. Our apartment was small, cluttered with his trophies and my textbooks. We fought about dishes, made up on the couch. Learned how to be a team off the court. On the anniversary of his injury, we went back to Pauley Pavilion. Empty, quiet, just us. "Regrets?" he asked. "None," I said. "You?" He kissed me. "Not a single one." Sometimes the best stories start with a twisted ankle and a clipboard. Sometimes crossing the line is the only way to find your way home. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you find the P. Crossing the line is the only way to find your way home. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you find the person who makes every risk worth it. We were lucky.